Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about The Flash. We're actually going back and looking at something from episode 10 of season 9, which was the Reverse Flash episode where you saw Barry as original timeline Flash. We've got this great edit that has been put together. I'm going to leave the link in the description below to it. So for now, if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future DCTV videos later this year. Okay, so whilst we're on the break, obviously we got a long time until we get any Superman Lois news for season 4 because of the strikes going on right now. We've talked about that many times. We'll talk about it in my live stream tomorrow. That's going to be at 9 PM UK time, so 4 PM Eastern time in New York and the East Coast. So come join me for that. I'm going to have a couple of special guests on. We're going to be talking about that and a lot more. But if you want any specific topics for me to make videos on, please be sure to let me know down in the comments below. I'll be reading all the comments. And like I said, this is the off season, so we don't have any shows on right now. The Flash has just aired. Obviously Blue Beetle's coming out soon, so there is content. But for now, I guess the main focus is on these strikes and when they're going to potentially end, because that's just basically delaying when we're going to see Superman Lois season 4. But we talked about that previously. But in today's video, we're going to be looking back at season 9, the final season of The Flash, and this is something that I bookmarked a long time ago because 2 months ago, Samuel Davis on YouTube uploaded a VFX test, and it was basically the major scene in episode 10, which was Reverse Flash facing off against Barry, and Barry became the original timeline Flash. We talked about that when it came out, when the episode was airing, and obviously we're all freaking out about this because it's something that we've been waiting for a very, very long time, and it finally happened in season 9 episode 10. And so what I like about this edit, and again the link is going to be in the description below so you can go ahead and watch it, is he basically gives you an insight as to what kind of we were expecting compared to what we actually got. Because if you guys remember, and I went over this in my original Timeline Flash Explainer video, you can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch that if you haven't watched that already. There were many changes made between what we had previously seen in previous episodes when in the past we had gone back to this night, obviously Nora Allen's murder. And so they have made some changes in this episode by taking some creative liberties in terms of making certain things more clear, maybe not blurring out Barry just to make sure that everyone knows, yes, this is our Barry, but also I guess to kind of get into the emotions a bit more. However, this comparison is very cool because it kind of takes us back to the past and the way that we originally saw it. Because if you guys remember, for years we saw original timeline Flash and he was always blurred. You couldn't see his costume, you couldn't see him properly, and we'd always speculated, when were we going to see this? Well, it turns out we saw it in the final season. But as I said, his face wasn't blurred, and so that was actually some people's big complaints about this because it was pretty awesome to see it. But some people were like pretty bummed that they weren't actually sticking to the way that it was originally supposed to be. But obviously there's been many timeline changes since then, so there's bound to be things changed. And so the big one was just Barry wasn't blurred out. And so in this edit you can see a before and after. It's only like a 50-second long edit, and it basically shows us what it could have looked like with this new footage being pretty much in the same style and exactly how you saw it before in previous episodes. And so I think a lot of people are agreeing, and I see this just in the comments section, that basically the way that Barry is vibrating is actually quite a bit cooler than him not vibrating. I'm kind of stuck in the middle. I like what we got because we got to see it was actually our Barry, but also at the same time that was iconic, his blurred face. Who is the original timeline Flash? That's the question we were asking for many years. And so there's also people that are saying, you know, the reason that Fawn is always vibrating and why he wasn't vibrating in this episode was because he was always faster than Barry, and Barry just couldn't keep up with him, so he couldn't see him properly. But I don't really agree with that. I don't think that's actually very valid, because Thorne has pretty much always been a match for Barry. It's not like he was more powerful than Barry. He was just smarter, basically, and he'd been planning things for a long time. And so I think now with Thorn not vibrating, I don't think that's because Barry has got faster and is potentially faster than him. But I think the main thing we have to all take away from this scene is that this is a new timeline. This isn't exactly the same as what we'd previously seen in season 1 and the various times we went back. This is the current timeline and this is how it's supposed to be. So I think everyone just has to accept that this is the way original Timeline Flash actually appears in this new timeline. And I don't think, this shot that you see of Barry waving his hand, don't go ahead, is from the perspective of younger Barry, and so he can't see. Obviously, yeah, humans aren't as fast and they would see them as a blur if they were actually moving, but he's not actually moving at that point, so I don't see a reason for him to be vibrating unless he was actually phasing himself like he was back in season 1, but things have changed dramatically since then, and so this is a new timeline and this is what we've got. So yeah, that pretty much does it for this portion of the video. I highly recommend you go check out the edit. I think it's actually really cool to see the comparison between what we got and what we were kind of expecting. But we have one more topic to go over in this video, and that is because the Flash film is now out on digital. So yes, you can get a hold of the film and watch it online in the UK and I presume America as well. And so with that, they've released a bunch of new featurettes. There's new interviews that I'm sure some of you guys have seen online, some new behind the scenes stuff, as well as deleted scenes. Obviously, deleted scenes are very much so of interest to me and a lot of people, because we know that there was like 4 hours plus worth of footage in the first cut, and they had to cut back on a load of stuff in order to cut it down to like, 2 hours and a half. And we know that certain characters were supposed to maybe show up, certain cameos. Grant Gustin was not one of those, although I guess he was a name that they probably wrote down initially. They didn't even get around to making his cameo an actual reality. And if you guys remember, most of those cameos were actually CGI, so it wasn't about scheduling or anything. It was just about who they actually wanted, and in this case, Andy Muschietti, the director of The Flash, just didn't really particularly think Grant Gustin was the first or one of the even top 10 characters that should have appeared, which I fully disagree with. However, in a deleted scene that has been released online, you have young Barry who discovers Kara Zor-El's Starcraft. That's what they're calling it. And so basically in the scene, which I'll leave the link to so you can go ahead and watch it, you can go watch it now and pause and come back to hear my analysis. And so he basically walks into this room, and in this room you see Kara's spaceship that she arrived on, and you see her costume. So this is a very different style of introduction to Kara. In the film what we got was a very malnourished Kara. She's on the ground inside this containment cell, and her costume's on the floor, and that's how they find her initially. But in this case you have young Barry finding the spaceship with the House of L symbol on it, which I think is actually really cool. It looks actually really awesome, and I kind of wish we actually saw that. But I think the whole idea of finding the Supergirl suit kind of strung up, I don't think that works as well. I like what they initially did in the film, and I'm happy that they kept that. And in a later scene they come outside and he shows Batman and older Barry the costume that is obviously Kara's. It's her Supergirl suit that you get to see her in, but he also jokes that it's Superman petite. Like, I don't really like that joke. I understand why they cut this, because I feel like this is more of a joke in terms of introducing her, when really, if you look at her in the film, she's not a joke. She's actually a big deal, and yes, she unfortunately does meet not a very good end in terms of her literally dying. But I think ultimately they went with the right version. And as the director has said, the 4-hour cut is very rough and they had to cut it down for time reasons, but also I believe they've cut it down because a lot of the scenes would have been just extra and it probably didn't work. So I think it's best to cut stuff like this and just show them in deleted scenes, because there's no problem having deleted scenes. All films have deleted scenes. Just some things just don't turn out well after all, despite it potentially looking good in the first place, or at least good enough to shoot entire scenes surrounding this. But that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, please let me know down in the comments below what type of videos do you want to be seeing. Do you have any specific theories you want me to go over, or any specific topics that have been of interest to you over the last couple of weeks? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to make videos on it during the off season, which is currently right now. So that's why I'm going back and making kind of videos that I've been thinking about making for a while, but just haven't had the time, and so now I'm getting around to those videos. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and if you want to support the channel even more beyond just watching my videos, please be sure to tune into the live streams every Wednesday. That's going to be on tomorrow night. Plus, also, we have new merchandise available. Link in the description below. It's the top link. It's the dctvshow.tmail.com if you want to get any merchandise, which all directly supports the channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, and subscribe and turn on notifications to not miss any future videos. But for now, click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.